start recording so we can at least have our session. Well, welcome to our virtual session. And during this session, guys, I'm going to show you how to do some research, some fast and easy ways to actually help you, some smart ways to conduct research, to do some research. And of course, you see I have Google up. And the reason why, and I'm going to minimize this so this can get out of our way. And the reason why I have Google up is because I know this is where you go to do your research. Now, if you have any questions throughout the session, just go ahead and just say, hey, Melinda, can you repeat that, or can you show us how to do that? For the most part, guys, I have all of your mics are on. And you see I have all your mics on. So if you feel free to speak, if you want to, feel free to ask a question, and then I can go ahead and answer it. Or if you just want to put a response or question in the chat box, while we go through this, I will periodically be checking the chat box. All right, so I know, like I said, Google is the first place where you start to do your research, but I want you to be strategic, and I want you to start thinking smarter about conducting your research. So we're going to go here to Google. I'm going to show you a couple of things in Google. I want to show you Google's advanced search, and I also want to show you how to use Google Scholar. And then after that, we will go to the databases. So don't just start here, because you'll be spinning your wheels and you'll get everything under the sun here. So be strategic. Let's take a look at Google Advanced Search, and I'm just going to type Google Advanced Search. And as you can see, this is what the interface looks like for Google's Advanced Search. So I know you all have been studying some topics pertaining to infectious diseases. So I'm just going to type in here infectious disease. And a couple of nice things I love about Google's Advanced Search is that you tell Google the site or domain for which you want to retrieve your hits. And this is very important because for nursing students, I always recommend that you look at .edu, which is education. I also recommend that you look at .gov, which is government. And the reason why I always suggest using these sites or domains is because from .gov and .edu, we're hoping that the information, for the most part, the information is going to be unbiased. As a researcher, you want unbiased information. So for the sake of this search, let's do .gov. And another thing I love about using Google's Advanced Search, you can come to any format. You can scroll down, you can do PowerPoint, or you can do PDF. So for the sake of this search, I'm doing infectiousdisease.gov. I'm going to do PowerPoint. I would like to see what government entities have actually shared their information globally about infectious diseases. So let's take a look. So here we have State of Michigan. So, and I'm going to give it a few seconds to populate here. And then once it populates, we'll take a look at the PowerPoint. But this, like I said, this is one smart way to search Google. I don't want you to be spending your time randomly searching Google. Tell Google what you want. Tell Google what type of site or domain you want to retrieve your hits from. So let's see if it'll open. It may take too long to open, but you guys kind of get the idea and is thinking about it. So here it is. So this is a PowerPoint that I've gotten from the state of Michigan that talks about infectious diseases. They're decided to share their information with us globally. And like I said, to me, this is a smart way to do research. You would be surprised of the amount of data you can get from Google's Advanced Search. So like I said, that is just one way. So let's close out that. And if I wanted to modify this search, all I had to do was go back. Let's say I wanted to take a look at .edu. So I'm going to do .edu, which is education. And then this time, instead of PowerPoint, let's just do plain old PDF. So all of my hits are going to be PDFs, and they're all going to be from educational entities that are actually talking about infectious diseases, because that was the search that I put in. So I want you, like I said, to be very strategic when you're doing your search. There's a ton of data out there, and you want to make sure you get the best information. And this is a very nicely done PowerPoint. You can, at least the person's name is here, Dr. Kenrad Nelson. You can contact him if you wanted some more information. Those are a couple of things that I look for. You definitely want to see if they have their credentials, and you definitely want to see if they have any type of contact information and references. So like I said, these are smart ways to search Google. Try Google's advanced search and not just randomly search Google. And then tell Google where you want your hits to come from. Remember, I always recommend edu.gov, edu.gov, because you get those unbiased data searches, and that's what you want. All right, so now that was Google's advanced search. So can we choose specific dates? Yes, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You can do that. Now, so much for Google's advanced search. Let me see here. I'm going to show you Google Scholar, and with Google Scholar, you can tell it particularly what years, because I know you can't go back. You can only go back between so many years, mostly 5 years. So here in Google's advanced search, let me just take a look here in region. Any words on the screen. You can put in the year here. I'm going to go, let's say 2011 to 2015. So let's do a search with that. And hit advanced search, and let's see what we get with this. All right, so that's a way, Drusilla, that you can actually just put in the year like I did here, and that way you can differentiate and you can get what you want for those specific years. You can just put in your years and see what you get. Now let me show you, I want to show you Google Scholar. And for Google Scholar is Google's version of their peer-reviewed content. And when we say peer-reviewed, we mean that these items or these articles have been vetted to meet academic standards. So anything that is peer-reviewed or scholarly, you know the data is on point and the research is excellent because it had to get vetted to get published. So normally if you just did Google Scholar, right, you can type in Google Scholar, and now this is Google's version of, like I said, peer-reviewed academic content. All right, so let's see, oh yeah, so I did get, okay, I'm just checking the chat boxes because I want to make sure I get your chats. I'm going to close over that. So we're going to stick with infectious diseases. All right, I'm going to do a search. Now, if you take a look here with Google Scholar, you can automatically just come over here and you can just type in, I only want content from 2011, I only want content from 2014. And what Google does, it will automatically look for those resources. And what it does, it pulls in the closest IPO address. So let's say if I was interested in getting this article here. So what I would do is select this link, and then if the article is available, then what I would do is either download it or save it on my desktop to see if I can get it. And obviously I see there's something wrong with this particular link. All right, so let's go back. But it did give you something. Clinical of Infectious Diseases is a really good journal to take a look at articles when you're dealing with infectious diseases. So let's see if we can find something that might work. So let's try this one. Let's say I was interested in this article. And let's see if it's thinking, because I do want you to see what it looks like when it downloads. And hopefully it'll download into a nice PDF. Now, I did want to bring something to your attention. And let me do this. Never ever pay for an article. If you come across an article and if you can't find the full text, make sure you email me the APA citation for that article, or make sure you send me the DOI, which is the Digital Object Identifier, which is this funky number here, and the title. So if you can send me all of this information, then I will look for the article and see if I can find the full text version. Please never, oh, go ahead. No, please never ever pay for an article. If we don't have the full text, like I said, send me the citation, and what I'll do, or the DOI, and I'm going to show you that. Send me the citation or the DOI, and what I'll do, I'll try to get it. So don't worry about paying for it. I'm going to go ahead, guys, and mute a couple of mics here because I hear some feedback. I'm just going to click. So now, if you have any questions, hopefully I'm sure you can still hear me, so we don't get any feedback, make sure you put it in the chat box, and that way I can make sure I get it. All right, so like I said, please never ever pay for an article. Like I said, if you can't find the full text, email me the DOI, send me this pertinent information here, the DOI, along with the title and the APA citation so I could get it for you. It normally takes about 24 to 48 hours to get an article if I can find it. And if I can't find it, I send it to Interlibrary Loan, and it normally takes Sandra, depending on where she has to get the article from, about 48 to 72 hours. So keep that in mind. The turnaround time is it's not long at all, but you have to give us enough time to ascertain the articles, because I know when you're doing your research, you want to get your articles as soon as possible. So as soon as you find something, you let us know so I can get it. So any questions, guys, any questions, and I'm going to see if I can unmute you guys because I was hearing some feedback. Any questions about the DOI or Google Scholar or Google's Advanced Search? Because I think, like I said, this is a smart way to search Google instead of randomly searching Google. Because when you just randomly search Google, you're spinning your wheel, and I want you to be very strategic about that. All right, so if you don't have any questions about the Google Scholar or Google's Advanced Search, I'm going to go directly to the databases because I do have some things that I want to cover. All right, so I keep hearing some feedback. So what I'm going to do is just mute you guys. And like I said, if you have a question, just put it in the chat box for me. All right, so let's get to our databases. So I'm actually going to go to Blackboard because I am hoping you are using the research guide or the LibGuide that I have created for this class and in the Blackboard shell. So let me log in the Blackboard because I want to actually show you how to access things from the research guide. And I hope you all have been using the research guide. All right, so let's say no. All right, so let's scroll down here. Let me get to one of the global classes, and we'll do WD. All right, so, and I'm in all of the global classes. So, of course, here's the Librarian's Corner tab. And let me just turn this off so I don't delete anything. And I hope you have been using the Global Health Nursing Resources Research Guide. I have some really good information here pertaining to how to access O'Kelly resources. These videos are pretty much what I'm showing you now, but they are way shorter. They don't go into specific detail, but they kind of give you the gist of what I'm doing now. I think you will find the APA citation page tab very useful, especially when you get to APA citations with examples. And I'm going to show you a couple of things as we go through this little short research session here. But I think if you take a look at these, I give you an example of what the reference page should look like and what the in-text citation should look like. One thing you do have to remember when you're writing a research paper, you have to include in-text citations. There's no getting around that. All right, so we're going to take a look at all of those. So now let me get back to the main page of the research guide. And I'm going to just show you some of the databases that I use that I think you would find useful when you're doing your research. So I'm going to do Sonal Complete. This is one of my favorites. And I have logged into Sonal earlier. Normally you would get to a proxy. And in order to access any of our items, what you would do is have to put in your username, which is your email address, minus the at rams.wssu.edu, and your password is your banner ID number. So that is how you would actually access the databases. I was doing some searching earlier, and that's why it's already open. But now let's take a look at Sonal. One thing I want you to remember, Sonal is a few databases. And let me see, guys, I still hear some feedback here. So let me see if I can try this. I'm not sure. I keep hearing feedback, but I'm not sure. But anyway, Sonal, or the EBSCOhost databases, is one of the few databases that actually allows you to search multiple journals simultaneously. And I'm going to show you what that means. So if you want to know what type of data you can get from one of these journals or databases, you just scroll over the little comment box. And then once you scroll over the comment box, you'll see the little abstract will pop up, and then you could decide if you want to search from these databases. Academic Search Complete is an excellent database to search from, so I always recommend searching from Academic Search Complete. Health Source is another good one, and let's scroll down here. Since we're going to be doing infectious diseases, another topic is the health and psychosocial instruments. Health Business Elite and Health Source Consumer Edition is a good one. Don't forget PubMed. PubMed is a really good database to search from. And don't forget about the psych databases, because these databases, you can actually get content that focuses on behavior. So these are really good databases to search from. And then let's get back up. And oh yeah, I have already highlighted that. So I have selected several databases I want to search from simultaneously. So I'm going to hit OK. I recommend going to an advanced search, because in an advanced search you can put in various types of searching parameters. So I know we're going to be doing infectious diseases. I'm going to stick with that topic. So I'm going to do infectious diseases. And this is something from Medline. So this is how they actually curate the data that we're looking for. All right, so you see we got 180, and I want to say diseases. Maybe I need to make infectious. Let's do infectious diseases. So, all right, so let's expand our little search a little bit. And let me show you how you would actually break that down. All right, so I'm going to do full text. I want peer reviewed, and it's got to do that. Okay, so I keep hearing feedback. So hold on, let me see. Okay. I think I muted everybody. But anyway, all right, so you see it shrunk it down to 36. We want peer reviewed, and hopefully that shrunk it down a little bit more. And let's see what we get. We got 27. And I want to go as far back as, I just want to do 2012. All right, so I'm going to hit enter. And hopefully, so we did a search on infectious disease facts. And here are some hits that we have. So if you scroll down, now if you're interested in the abstract and you just want to see what the article is about, all you basically have to do is take your little mouse, scroll over the magnifying glass, and the abstract will pop up, and then that way you could decide if this is something you are interested in. So let's say it is. I'm going to add this one to the folder. I recommend when you're conducting your research, find articles you want and add them to the folder, because we are going to retrieve them in a few seconds. And let's say I'm interested, okay, I'm interested in this one. Let's try this one. All right, so I'm pretty much done with this search, but I want to try something else. One thing to remember when you are searching for research or specific data, you kind of may have to play around with your searches. There are no magic bullets the first time. So keep that in mind. There are no magic bullets the first time, but sometimes you're going to have to experiment with the keywords. So we did infectious diseases, right? So I'm going to take that out. And I'm fine because I can do a new search because I already put items in my folder. So I'm going to do infectious, if I could spell right, infectious disease. Oh my goodness, what is that noise, guys? Hold on for me. I'm trying to see if I could figure out. Okay, maybe that might be it. So we'll wait till she gets online, and then maybe I have to go ahead and move it so we don't hear that feedback. So we're going to do infectious diseases, and this time I'm interested in infectious disease prevention. So let's take a look and see what this going to, what kind of hits I'm going to get from that. So I did disease facts, and now I'm doing prevention. All right, so let me see if I can go ahead and, nope, not yet. I'm waiting for her to get online so I can mute that. All right, so of course we already know. Now, one of the cool things about is that we know it's full text, peer review, and I already got 2012. So that's pretty nice. It kept my perimeters for my search. Alright, so let me see if I can mute. And I still can't do attending. Okay. Alright, so I'm trying to eliminate the feedback here. Alright. And so now let's say I want to add this article. Alright, so I've gotten a couple articles, right, that I want to use for my research. I'm going to come up here to my folder view. I'm going to hit folder. These are the articles that I have added to my folder. So I am good to go. I want to look at them later. So what I'm going to do is hit the select button, and I want to email these articles. I want to send these articles to WSSU email. So what I'm going to do is hit email, and I recommend at this point that you use your WSSU email, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so you can hold on, guys. I do apologize for the feedback, but we keep getting a ton of feedback here. And let me see here. And so I'm going to ask, even though I have muted most of you, so for you that are just coming on, see if you can actually mute your mic. Like maybe Betty, I don't know if you can hear or see me, but see if you can mute your mic. And then Elizabeth, if you can as well. And I do apologize for the feedback, but I'm not able to ascertain where that's coming from. All right, so I'm going to use my WSSU email, right? And you could put a comments box. You don't have to. My subject is going to be, okay, infectious disease articles. And I recommend that you put in the subject here because when these are exported to your email, you want to know what it is. All right, so the infectious disease article. Okay, make sure you leave the rich text already defaulted. That is, you're going to want it to be rich text. Now, this is the part that students absolutely love. So if you come over here to citation format and you click the drop down that says APA, because of course you know that is your citation. So I'm going to hit send. You will get an email confirmation. You hit continue. Now let me show you what that looks like when you get your email. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to come APA citation, APA, and let's hit print. All right, so let's cancel this because this is what I want to show you. As you can see, these are the so this is why I'm requesting that when you use this resource, make sure you put in your WSSU email because the persistent links are already built in. And if you use Gmail, Hotmail, any other email account, these links may not work and you're going to be frustrated. So that's why you need to use your WSSU email. Now these are your citations right here, right? So I'm going to show you a little trick, and we're going to go over what I like to call the 4 cornerstones of APA citing. So I'm just going to do a Control C. I'm going to open a document. I want to open a Word document here. Let's see if I can get the Word. I want to open a Word document because I want to show you something that a lot of students do. And I know you some students, I'm going to say not all, but most students do this, and they just cut and paste, and then your information is totally inaccurate. All right, so I'm going to do Control V. So these are the citations, right, that I got. So we're going to table this. Then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to walk you through some things. So that's just one database. I'm going to minimize this. All right, so that was the EBSCO host database. And like I said, that's another one of my favorite databases. So I'm going to close out of this, and now I'm going to show you another database, and then we're going to compare some of those citations. The database I want to look at is going to be ProQuest Nursing and Allied Health. This is a really good database to use as well. And as you can see, the interface is just a little different than the EBSCO host database. So automatically we know we want full text, peer-reviewed, and scholarly journals. Now, peer-reviewed and scholarly journals, the only difference between the two is that peer-reviewed, they have been vetted to meet academic standards. Peer-reviewed articles go through a process. And either one of three things will happen when an article is submitted to get published in a journal. A, if an article is submitted, it's A, going to get published without any problems. B, it may get published with modifications, meaning the authors will have to make modifications in order for it to get published. Or the journal will take a look at the article and say, this is not in line with research, we're not going to publish it. So scholarly journals are not vetted that way. They do not undergo a peer-reviewed process. However, scholarly journals are written by your clinicians, your nurse practitioners. These are the guys that actually set policies, standards, and procedures. So that's why some databases will tell you, do you want peer-reviewed or do you want scholarly journals? Some will just include them all. ProQuest is one of the databases that will give you the option. EBSCO is another database that we just looked at. What it does in its mind, it includes peer review and scholarly. That's just one thing. All right, so of course we're going to stick with our topic here, infectious. Unless now, and I will open this up, does anyone have a topic they would like for me to search? So let me know. If you do, I can search something totally, I can search whatever you want me to search. And if not, then I'll stick with infectious diseases. But if you want, you can type it in the chat box, and we'll go ahead and play around with it. But so go ahead. I think I may have, okay, let me see here. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you guys. So if anyone wants to share, okay, go ahead and type. I'm going to mute you back. Go ahead and put in your chat. And if not, I will just go ahead and share. So I'm going to stick with infectious disease. Okay, so let's do this. All right, let me double check something else real quick. Oh, thank you, Drusilla. Cirrhosis of the liver. That's a really good one. Okay, so now someone has, and I can't figure out where the feedback is coming from. So now, do you all hear this feedback as well?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out where this feedback is coming from. All right, so hopefully, I'm not sure. Okay, so hopefully, all right, guys, so maybe that might help. Hopefully that will help and we won't hear the feedback. All right, so now I'm going to do cirrhosis of the liver because Drusilla. All right, so Drusilla suggested that. That's a good search. Let's see if I can spell it. Let's see, I'm hoping. Here we go. So you see how it does give you the auto search, which is really nice. cirrhosis of the liver, and I did full text, scholarly peer reviewed. All right, so let's take a look. So we have 41 hits, and we just did cirrhosis of the liver. Now we need to make sure that we get updated data. So I'm going to slide this puppy all the way over to about 2012, and hopefully 41 should shrink. And it did. It shrunk to 11. So let's take a look and let's see if we find anything that would be useful. All right, so let's say we're interested in this. Now what you can do, you can scroll over the preview button and the abstract will pop up. And of course, you know the abstract is basically summarizing what the research is about. So the abstract will pop up. So let's say I'm interested in this one. So I'm going to select number 3 because I want to email this article to myself just like we did the other ones. All right, so I'm going to scroll down again. And let's see if we can find another article. Something else that is going to be useful. All right, so let's just try this one for grins and chuckles. I'm going to do that one. And let's go to the next page. And let's see. Oh, well, I forgot. We shrunk it. So we got those two. All right, so I'm going to add these to my folder like I did so they're highlighted. Now, one of the nice things about this database, I'm going to come here to the Cite button. I'm going to hit Cite. One cool thing about this database is that it cites it for you. Here's your citation. ProQuest does a really good job. They put your citations in alphabetical order for you, which is nice, and that's what what they did here. I'm going to just cut and paste this, and I'm going to put this in my Word document, and we're going to go over some more things. So I got some articles there. Hold on. Let's take this because that goes there. All right, so that's in my Word document. Now, another thing I want you to take a look at when you're using this database, when you want to email from ProQuest, you have to make sure, in order to get your articles in the APA citation, make sure you select the bibliography here. That way you can enable the checklist and make sure that you are getting the APA 6th edition. So as you know, the APA 6th edition is the latest edition. This is a really cool page because it tells me I have 2 items selected. Let's see here. Oh, okay, so I have 2 items selected, right? And I'm going to scroll down. And then you put in your name, your email address. And remember, I always recommend you use your WSSU email. And it will not forward unless you put in your name. You can put a message here if you like to. And then you hit continue. And of course, you get your confirmation. So that's my confirmation. So now let me review this with you, because this is what a lot of students like to do when they get the citations in the databases. The citations in the databases, that's a nice tool to use. And for the most part, it does a really good job with citing and formatting. However, you as the researcher, you have to clean it up. And this is what I mean. I want you to remember there are 4 cornerstones of APA citing that you cannot deviate from. Number 1, your font has to be 12-point Times New Roman. We can look at this and just tell this is not 12 Times New Roman. This happens to be Helvetica, and I want to say this is Verdana. So that tells you that the databases, they don't care about the font. They're only going to format it for you. And sometimes you have to double check that. Okay, so Times New Roman 12-point font. Your paper has to be, everything has to be double spaced. So this right here is correct. Everything has to be double spaced. And for APA, of course, it has to be 1-inch margin, top, bottom, left, right. Well, if you are using Microsoft Office, all you have to do just to make sure that it's a 1-inch margin is go to page layout and come to margins. Normal margin is 1 inch, and it's already highlighted in most instances, top, bottom, left, right, 1 inch. But you just want to make sure. Another thing, everything has to be APA, so we need to clean, everything has to be Times New Roman. We need to clean this font up. So I'm going to come to my home page. Let's make this Times New Roman. If I could get this to act. Times New Roman 12-point font, right? All right, so we are just about there. And something else that we have to remember, this has to be double spaced. So let's double space this part here because the other part was double spaced. Now, we are almost there. Almost. And I say almost. Let's make this all one color. So these, make sure it's black. So these are some of the things you have to do. Now, remember, APA, your references, they have to be alphabetized, right? So let's go ahead and try to alphabetize some of these, and then I'm going to walk you through a couple of things. So I'm going to highlight that, and I'm just bring it there. So that's H. And then it looks like this citation is with this one. So I'm going to make that over here because you do have to have your hanging indent. So I'm just going to grab all of this and bring this up here because this is A. All right, so that's that one, and we're almost getting there. M, and then we have another M here. So let's grab this, and let's take this up here because MC comes before MR. All right, so I'm good. My page has my references have been alphabetized, and I have my 1-inch margin top, bottom, left, right. So I am in good shape. Now, let's go through a couple of things. One thing to remember, oh, and I also have another thing too, you do have to have the word references, and I'm going to just center this because references needs to be centered. And also too, I'm going to come back up here, you do have to have your running head, whatever your title is. Whatever your title is, and your page number has to be top right. And I'm going to show you an example of what an APA research paper needs to look like. And for the sake of this, I'll go ahead and put a page number in here. Page number needs to be top right, not top bottom. You know, APA is very particular, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So these are my references, right? So a couple of things. When you actually pull an article from a database, and if that article has a DOI, this is a DOI, this stands for Digital Object Identifier. That means that I can cut and paste this number, and I'm going to test it out here. I can cut and paste this number, put it in a browser, and part of that article should come up, and here it is, right? This is that article. The reason why more and more vendors and journals are using a DOI is so researchers could get access to research quickly. Now, here is the caveat. When you have a DOI, there are no periods at the end of the DOI. This is one of the things that most of the databases get right. In APA's mind, or in their infinite wisdom, the DOI is the period. So you don't add any periods to the DOI. Some people will say, oh, I need to put a period. You don't. The DOI is the very end. It is not a period. Oh, the DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier. So thank you for asking. The DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier. Now, here's the clincher. Some articles will have a DOI. This one does. This one does not. This article does not have a DOI. So if the article does not have a DOI, you have to put that persistent link retrieved from HTTP ProQuest. And you can get the persistent link from, you get that link, let me get back here. Let's get back to, let me find it here. You get that persistent link from here for ProQuest. But if you notice, ProQuest does a really good job. ProQuest will give you that. That's one of the nice things I love about ProQuest. ProQuest will give you that persistent link when you export the citation. That's one of the nice things I love about ProQuest. Now, just so don't you get confused, either you're going to have retrieved from, or you're going to have the DOI. If you have a DOI, then you don't need retrieved from. This is only so whoever's reading your research can go to this link and get it. So keep that in mind. If you get an article from a database, you either need to include the DOI or you need to put where you got it from, retrieved from such and such. Now remember, the EBSCOhost database did not give that retrieved from in the citation. However, when you get your persistent links, and let me show you what I mean right quick. When you get, and remember we looked at Sonal, and these are EBSCOhost databases. When you get that persistent link, this is the link I am talking about for when you use it for EBSCO. Let's do infection control because I just want to get an article really quickly. All right, 1, 2. I just want to show you where you can get your persistent link from. All right, so I'm going to go to folder. I want to select here and I want to print. Okay, so I want to come here. What if you get it from Google Scholar? That's an excellent question. Then you use the persistent link from Google Scholar. So what you would do, you would say retrieve from Google Scholar and have that link. That's exactly what you would do, and it's the same thing if you were to get it from the journal's online webpage. You would do it the same thing. So let me hit print. Oh, you're welcome. So let me hit print. So now this is, let me hit cancel. So when I talk about persistent links, let's say this article, let me find one. This article doesn't have a DOI, the second one here. Well, actually they all do, but pretend this one doesn't have a DOI. So for this example, I'm going to cut and paste this. Let's say this one, it does have a DOI, but I'm going to show you what I mean. So let's cut and paste this. Let's come all the way down to the bottom. Oops, not right there. All right. Let me see here. All right, so let's say I want to come here. All right, so this is my article, right? And let's say this did not come with a DOI. It didn't come with a DOI. However, I did have access to that persistent link. So all I have to do is come here, and I'm going to take the DOI out because remember this is an example. So I'm going to come back to my little list here. I'm going to say this is my persistent link. So I'm going to cut and paste this link. Do a Control C, put my link here. And I'm going to put here, retrieved from EBSCOhost database. And then that is how I have my citation. So remember that if you get, all of the databases are different. So you do have to put, if it does not have a DOI, you do have to make sure you have retrieved from EBSCOhost database or whatever, and the persistent link. And I don't think it, okay, I didn't think it would. So I did want to show you that because that is really important. The databases do a really good job of formatting. However, you have to make sure it's right. Do you have to remove the hyperlink? You don't have to. You don't have to remove the hyperlink. You can't. You don't necessarily have to. No, you don't have to remove the hyperlink. So yes, so that's a very good question. You don't have to. APA is not, as far as I know, they're not particular about that, but just make sure that link is there. All right, so I'm going to minimize that. I did want to show you those two particular databases. And let me show you one other database that I think you will find very useful. And let me see if I have it. I should have added it, and I did. Don't forget about Science Direct. One of the nice things I love about this database is that most of your retrievals, they will give you a PDF for most of your articles. And I think that's kind of nice. So I'm going to do infectious diseases. I'm going to come here and just do my little advanced, just hit the green button for a quick search. And then if you take a look, if you see over here, you can view more dates, but the fact that it comes all the way to like 2012, that's pretty good. And then if you take a look and you see most of all of the hits you get, you're going to get the PDF. They have some really, really good articles in Science Direct. So make sure when it's time for you to do your research, make sure you look at Science Direct. Pretty much all of the database links that I have here on the research guide, these are really good articles or databases to use for anything dealing with nursing, especially even if you did global nursing. So for the sake of this search, I'm going to close out of here. Let's go back to Science Direct and let's change our topic to global nursing. Let's see what data they may have for global nursing. I'm going to hit the little green button here and let's just see global nursing. And I just wanted to see what they have. Suitable clinical, will you do Ovid? Oh, yes. Thank you, Jancy. I'm going to show you Ovid. I can show you Ovid right now. Thank you for reminding me because sometimes Ovid is another good one. Sometimes I forget Ovid, but we can't forget Ovid. So these have some good articles about global nursing. All right, so let me show you Ovid. I should have that on the guide. Ovid, guys, I'm going to close out of this one, is another, close out of some of these things, is another really good database. And here it is, it's Ovid SP. So you select the link, and I was doing some things with Ovid early, so here we go. One of the nice things I love about Ovid is that it gives you two searches. So let's, for the sake of this search, let's try global nursing, right? Now, you can tell it your year right up front. So we want 2012 and we want to go to current. And we want full text. And male or female, that's not that big of a deal. At least right now, we just want to do global nursing. But however, if you look at some of the other parameters here, if you're interested in evidence-based healthcare or guidelines, you can actually specifically search some of those too. So I'm just going to hit search for global nursing, and let's see what kind of hits we get so I can show you the breakdown. One of the nice things about Ovid is that it gives you two types of searches, and let me show you what I mean. If you take a look here, it also gives you global nursing and related terms. That's why the results are so much higher. And then for the advanced search, it just gives you what we searched, and that was global nursing. So let's take a look at the global nursing and related terms. All right, so let's give it a few. And it's still thinking. All right, so this is what some of the hits looks like when you do Ovid. It's a little clunky looking database. However, as you can see, you get some really good hits with this database. So look at this one, the Global Quest for Nursing Excellence, 2013 Journal of Nursing Administration. So if I'm interested in that, you can select that button. And there's the PDF for it. And look at this, if you were interested. Now this one might be interesting. White paper on global nursing and health, a brief. So let's say I'm interested in this. Now, if you don't see a PDF in this one, if you don't see a PDF, when you hit search for full text, I have a pop-up. I have to remove that. But when you hit search for full text, what it will do, it will search our databases or search all of our holdings and a bunch of articles despite doing advanced search. Yeah, sometimes it does that, and like I said, there are no despite doing, yeah, sometimes you still get a bunch of articles, and the best thing I recommend that you do is maybe try to shrink the year, and then sometimes that doesn't work because the topic you're searching has so much vast data that you just have to go through and kind of deselect it. But one thing I love about Ovid, oh, let me minimize this. One thing I love about Ovid, like I said, in most instances it'll give you the PDF, but if it doesn't, select the search for full text, and what this will do is search all of our holdings, and in our holdings it will find the full text for you. Now, if you come across an article, like I said, if we don't have the full text, I will look to see if I can get it for you, and I'll email it to you. So for example, you see how it says here, let's say I'm interested in this article. It's Nursing Outlook. So this is how you can find out if we actually subscribe to a particular journal. So Nursing Outlook. So I want to see if we subscribe to this. I'm going to show you another trick. So I'm going to go to our web page. Let me get to the quick links button here, C.J. Kelly Library. Scroll down. I'm going to come to this link that says e-journals and ebooks. All right, so I am looking for this particular journal, Nursing Outlook. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to type in Nursing Outlook. And let's see if we subscribe to this. And I'm going to hit search. And it's thinking. It's doing its little thing. It's thinking. Because this is normally what I do. This is the process that I would go through just in case if you send me an article and if you can't find the full text. I look to see if we actually subscribe to that particular journal, and then I take it from there. And I'm going to see, let's see if we actually have it. It's still thinking. So while that is still thinking, and I'll wait for that to populate, while that is still thinking, don't forget about some of these databases, because Ovid, Science Direct, you can get some really good hits off of those. All right, so look at this. We do have it, Nursing Outlook, and look at that. It's in Science Direct. So now I want this article. So these are the things we need to look for. Okay, where did I put it? All right, here it is. This means that this is volume 54, and I'm looking for issue 2. So let's go back. I need volume 54, and let's take a look over here. Volume 54, let's come all the way down, 50 to 61, 51 to 60. So I need volume 54, so let's open. So let me scroll down. And this is how I can find, this is what the process that I go through to find an article for you. All right, so I need volume 54. I think it was issue number 1. Let me see, volume 54, issue number 2. All right, 54, issue number 2. So I know this is what I'm looking for. Let's come down a little bit more. 54, issue 2. So that article should be right in here. So I'm going to click on that, and then while that is thinking, I need to see what's the page number. Volume 54, issue number 2, 113 to 115 is the page number. All right, so I need to look for 113 to 114, and I'm hoping we have the PDF for it, and look, here it is. So that is the process that I would go through to find an article for you, but I did want you to show you that just in case if you didn't want to wait on me, if you wanted to try it for yourself. But that's a shortcut way of how, that's what I do to locate articles. So I did, like I said, I did want to show you the databases. Now, one other thing I want to show you before we leave. All right, and let me, any questions so far, guys, about what we've looked at? Because I do want to take a look, I want you to take a look at the APA citation. I guess I must have closed it. Thank you. Yeah, you can get some good resources with the databases, guys. So I want you all to use these databases. So we spend a lot of money on these databases. All right, so let's take a look at the APA Citation Center. Remember I told you there's an example of what a paper looks like. So I'm going to select the link, and let me do it again because I may have done it too fast. On this page, we need to go to APA Citation Center. I want us to take a look at the APA sample paper. Now, when you write a very well-written research paper, you have to include in-text citations. You just have to. This paper gives you really good examples of how to include your in-text citations in your paper. So remember when I did my little demonstration, I had the running head. All right, so the running head, the word running head has to be on the first page. And this is your title, the running head. The word has to be on the first page, but of course, for subsequent pages, you don't have the word running head, but you just have your title, which is the running head. And remember the page number top right. So running head only on the first page, the word running head only on the first page. But if you look at subsequent pages, you have the word running head again. So I'm going to scroll down here because I want us to take a look at the references. Let me get to the reference pages. All right, so here are the references. So see, you have your title here, or your running head. Then you have your page number top right, and the word references. Okay, was it the share book? I can definitely show you how I did that. And this is all of your references. Take a look now. You see references. The references are alphabetized, and everything is double spaced. So remember that, alphabetized and double spaced. And I did want to point something out to you. The reason why on these particular pages you don't see retrieved from or a DOI, that means that these individuals, the person who wrote this, physically went into the library, physically took the Journal of Computer Mediated Communication off the shelf and cited it. So this is what the citation looks like if you physically come into the library and if you physically have the journal in your hand and you're citing. Now, of course, when you get them from online, you have to have retrieved from and the DOI. So I did want to point that out because when you look at this example, you're like, well, how come they don't have retrieved from? Well, they don't have retrieved from because they actually went to the library and they had a copy of the journal. So that is the difference there. Now, one thing I do, and let me see. Yeah, I have to agree. That is old school, Mary. You are so right about that. But nobody physically, they don't want to come to the library anymore than with the onset of online classes. So everybody does it digitally. But I did want to explain that. Now, before we go, guys, and I haven't forgot, I'm going to walk you through, for those who have time who want to see it, I'll walk you through how to export from the databases again. But this is something I really want you to take a look at, particularly when you come across an article that has a lot of authors. Nursing is notorious for this. I came across an article for nursing and it had 20 authors. How in the world do you cite an article with 20 authors? Well, let's quickly run through this. As you see in these examples, I give you an example of what it looks like on the reference page, and I give you an example of the in-text citation. And remember that this paper has a ton of examples for in-text citations. I mean, they have a ton. Like, this is an in-text citation. Coming at all, right here, that's one. I mean, they have several. Also, one thing to remember, your reference, everything on your reference list, it needs to be in the in-text citation. So all of the references listed on this page, all of the references listed on this page, they are somewhere in the body of the research paper. So if you're going to have it in the in-text citation, it needs to be on your reference list. So don't have a citation, an in-text citation, and then when you come to the reference page, you don't reference it, because you could very well get points taken off for that. So let me show you. Let me get back to, here it is. Let me get back to what I want to show you briefly. All right. So journals with 1 or 2 authors. In-text citation, you just list the 1 or 2 authors, and you're good. Either you can do Brent and Miles in the year, everything in parentheses, or Brent and Miles and just a year in parentheses. This is what the in-text citation will look like, and this is what your reference looks like. So let's say I'm referring to this article 5 times in my paper. The in-text citation, either I could do it this way, or I could do it this way. It's still going to be the same. Now, when you get to 3 to 5 authors, it is starting to get a little tricky. So this is what it looks like. Your reference page, you of course will list all of the authors. 1, 2, 3, and this one has 5, 4, 5. You list all of the authors on your reference page. And as you can see, let's get off of that. As you can see, you have retrieved from or DOI. So now, here's the clincher. In your in-text citation for the first citation, first time you're actually referencing this article in your in-text citation, you list all 5 authors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way, everything in parentheses, or you can list it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, For subsequent citations, that means citation number, in-text citation number 2, number 3, number 4, you only list Brent et al. This way or Brent et al. This way. Chances are Brent et al., this person is the primary researcher. That is why his name is first. So remember, never juxtapose these names. He's the primary researcher, he or she, they're the primary researcher, that's why their name is first. But back to the in-text citation, for second and subsequent citations, APA does not want to see all 5 of their names. They only want to see the 5. So that's it in the first citation. And then subsequent citations, they only want to see that first name, Brent et al. So now when we get to 6 or 7, it gets more trickier. So for 6 or 7, in your citation, your reference page, you list all of the authors. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one has 7. So you list all 7 in the reference page. However, when you get to your in-text citations for 6 or more authors, guess what? APA only wants to see the Brent et al. They only want to see the last name. They don't want to see all those authors' names. So for your in-text citation, you can either do it that way or you can do it this way. Now, this is really when it gets tricky, but I think if you follow this, this will help. Let's say you have an article and it has 20 authors, like that article I found with 20 authors, right? You got 20 authors. So APA only wants to see 7 authors. That's it. They don't want to see all 20. They don't want to see 10. They only want to see 7. So as you can see, a journal with 8 or more authors, this is how you do it. You list the first 6 names of the citation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? The last name is number 20, followed by an ellipsis. So you have the first 6, followed by an ellipsis. Then you have author number 20, which is Appleside. So that is how you would cite an article, a book, or anything with 7 or more, or with 8 or more authors. You list only the first 6, and then number 7, or the last author, is whatever that number is, number 20 or 15. And for your in-text citation, you only list that primary author, Brent et al. This way, everything in all parentheses, or Brent et al. Everything in the year in parentheses. Oh, so okay, now let me explain this to you. First, let me do question number 1. Let me get back here to the box because I do want to point that out to you. Hold on. All right. So let's see. How do you determine what order the authors are in? You don't determine it at all. Whatever order the authors are in from the citation, you don't change it because chances are he is the primary researcher and they decide what order the author's in. Remember, like I said, never juxtapose these names. This is the way it is. So let me get to here. All right, so for example, you see how you have these authors' names? You never juxtapose these names. You just leave it the way it is. So you don't decide. It's already done for you. So never juxtapose those names. All right, so that's that question, answer. Exactly. Very much so, Jancy. Exactly. You never mix them up. This is the order that they came in, and you leave it as is. And remember, you alphabetize your reference list according to the first name in the citation. So harder. Then you have this, which I can't enunciate. I'm not going to try to enunciate. Then you had Artunaz. So you never juxtapose these names. You leave them as is, and then you alphabetize the reference list according to the first name in the citation. And let's see now, let me get to the other question. I had enough. How do you determine? Okay, we got that one. Yep, so good. I got everything. So I did want to point that out to you because a lot of times students are like, well, how do we know how many names to put if you got 20 names? Remember, no matter if it's 10, if it's 15, if it's 20, APA only wants to see 7. If it's 8, they only want to see 7 names. So when you have 6, 6 to 7, 3 to 5, that's a little bit different. 8 or more, they only want to see 7. So remember that. And I think if you take a look at this on the on my LibGuide, it'll help you with the citing. And I do have some other information here to assist with the citing, and I think you'll find that to be very useful. Now, one other thing before we go that I did want, any other questions? Because I'm done to wrap it up. And for those who want to see how to export the references to your email, I'm going to show that right quick. Now, if you guys don't have any other questions, that's basically it. I am going to email you, or I may put it in here if you can. I'm gonna while I show you how to export those references from the databases. I'm going to put this in the chat box. If you all would be so kind to complete this short, if you complete this short essay or assessment for me, I really appreciate it. And I put the link in the chat box. And share your feedback about the session. What do you think I could do a little bit more? So I hope it was very helpful. So go ahead if you can and complete the assessment for me. Just click on that link, and once you click on that link, you should be able to access this and put in your content. Now, for those who wanted me to show you how to export articles from the databases, I'm going to do that. And for everybody else, that's basically it. So thank you so much for attending, and I hope this was useful. And remember, just email me. That's the best way to contact me if you have any questions. About finding research or articles. So I'm going to unmute everybody. All right, so now let me show you guys. For those who are able to stay, I'm going to close out some things here. And let's do this. I'm going to close out. You guys are, I hate that too, Drusilla. That's awful. Too bad we didn't catch you earlier. And I'm really working on trying to catch people earlier. All right, so this is the main page. I'm going to go to databases. Well, actually, let me get to the LibGuide because I like for you to come from the LibGuide. So I'm going to go here from the LibGuide. And let's take a look at SANAL. So I'm going to do SANAL. And remember, SANAL was one of those databases that you can search multiple databases. So I'm going to do choosing databases. I'm going to do academic search complete. And then we will do health business sort. And let's find another one to do. And I will do this one. All right, so I did those. I'm going to hit OK. Yeah, I know. It loves to time me out. So I'm going to hit OK. Where it go? All right, perfect. I'm going to hit OK. So now, and while those people are exiting, I'm just going to unmute everybody. All right, so we don't hear the feedback. All right, so now let's say I did that already, so I'm just going to let it load. I hit OK. I'm going to do for this search, we're going to do our advanced search, and we're going to do global nursing. Right? Global nursing. Oh, global nursing shortage. Let's take a look at that. Global nursing shortage. And you see we got 207 hits. Well, that's way too many. So let's do full text. And let's also do scholarly peer review right here. And you see our number keeps shrinking. And we only want 2013 this time. So I'm going to do 2013. 2013, it's updating. Okay, and we got down to 10, which is nice. So what I'm going to do, if you're in, let's say I'm interested in this article, I'm going to add this one to the folder. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to add this one to the folder. And let's say this one. I'm adding these three articles to the folder. I'm going to come back up. I'm going to go to the folder view. I'm going to hit the select button. And I'm going to email them to myself. So I'm going to hit email. You put in your WSSU email. You can put in a subject. And make sure you hit citation format APA, because you want the database to do some of the hard work for you and hit format. Then you hit send. So I didn't put in my email address, so I'm going to go back because I'm going to say I want to print these. So I'm going to do print and APA, of course. Make sure we do APA. I'm going to hit print. And of course, everything populates. That's cancel. So this is what you're going to get in your email. These are your citations. And you cut and paste that, of course, and then you put it into your document. These are your persistent links. So the links are in the order of the email. So this is this link goes with this article, this persistent link goes with this article, and this persistent link goes with that article. And remember, when you have a DOI, like we have a DOI for all three of these, you don't have to put retrieved from. So I can just cut and paste this. I'm going to come down to my reference page. I'm going to come all the way down and get to another page. I'm going to put that there. All you have to do is basically clean this up. And of course, the reference part, it was not bolded. It was just centered. And then you just walk through and you just make sure it's Times New Roman. It's 12-point font, of course. And it is double spaced, right? It's got to be double spaced. And these have to be alphabetized, which ironically, they are already alphabetized. Now, because all of the articles that we pulled had a DOI, you do not have to put retrieved from or anything. This is perfect. And of course, this reference is not, it needs to be Times New Roman, 12 point. So we're good to go. And then make sure it's double spaced, 1 inch, and that sort of thing. So that is how you export. And it pretty much works the same from most of the databases. Most of the databases will give you that little feature. Some just have various nuances. Some just have different nuances than others. All right. So, do you all have any other questions? Let me unmute you so you can. Let me unmute all. Okay. Anybody with any other questions? So, I hope this was useful. And like I said, if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me. The best way to get a hold of me is by email. And please, guys, don't pay for any articles. Don't do that. Shoot me the DOI or the APA citation and the author's information. I'll look for them for you. So that's basically it. That's all I have.
Super helpful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, guys. I'm glad you thought it was helpful. So email me if you need any assistance. You're very welcome.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you, guys. You have a good one too. Bye bye.
Bye.